this love is so pure. Like literally as this light hit me, as this love hit me, I felt, but all the traumas that were kind of damaged into me through my life, they washed away, they filled up with this love. It's almost as if I came as a broken man, and this love healed me and made me whole. And I just wanted to stay there forever. I felt like, this is so awesome. Here I'm seeing a man. As I turned around, I see this man. He's a white man. He's got long white hair around to his shoulders. He's got a long white beard, very, very pink skin. And his skin, it glistened because there was light coming out of it. Literally beams of light coming out of everything on. And of course, me growing up, evangelical Christian, I think, you must be God. And I was really excited. I'm like, you must be God. And he just smiled and he just shook his head and said, no, son, I'm not God. But the first thing I noticed is he said that without moving his mouth. And then my follow-up question or my follow-up thought was, oh, then you must be Jesus. And he again just laughed and kind of shrugged and said, no, son, I'm not Jesus. I'm Drake. My name is Drake and I'm your guide. I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you go wherever you want to go. I can help you go back to your body, back to your physical life on earth, or I can help you go wherever you want to go in this universe. I'm thinking of like, where do I want to go? I knew I didn't want to go back to earth. I knew for a fact I didn't want to go there. I could perceive that this all permeating love that I was feeling come off of him, I was perceiving that it came from wherever his home was. So I told him, I want to go to your home. And he explained to me that, oh, that's your home as well. That's where you came from too. So we can take you back home. Home is such a high energy space. I had to really raise and amplify that up to match the energy of home. Otherwise, I could not exist there. And I'm thinking, well, it's all about love. It's all about love. I'm sure that's the first thing I've got to do is learn how to love, right, Drake? And he again laughs. I kept him laughing pretty much.
Obviously, yeah, you're doing stand-up routine for him.
But he explained that love actually is very important. The purpose of life is for us to learn, to come to Earth School, and love is the system that we exist in here. That is love. He showed me this ribbon. He showed me this ribbon that stretched from Earth out to the eternities, like way out to the furthest edges of the known and unknown universe. And on that, he dropped a single grain of sand. And he said that this single grain of sand represents your entire life on Earth. And that like rocked my world. But it also helped me understand that we need to not live within our tunnel vision here. And we need to understand that our life is much larger than what's going on here. So that was the main thing, is understanding that life is a classroom and not a courtroom. We're here to learn and not to be judged. And then listening to your inner voice, listening to your inner intuition. We all have intuition. We all do. We've got to give space. We've got to give time for God to respond or God to show up in our lives, because God is speaking to us constantly if we want to listen. Mm-hmm. And Drake showed me principally to have a life without evil would be like having a gym without weights. So evil in itself is paramount as an option, the same way as good, as love. We have to have love, we have to have evil. So if God created this world where there was no evil whatsoever, there would be no growth.
So is that what the heavenly realms are like? And that's why we have to come down. That's why we have to come down here.
Yeah, exactly. So here's what's funny. In heaven, the whole system is so permeating with that love that God has, and it's truly unconditional. You don't deserve it, but you get it. All of us do. We get this tremendous unconditional love, and it is so strong that no matter what's going on around God, whatever God wants, we want instantaneous. So we realized for us to grow, We have to leave God. We have to step away from the heavens. We have to step away from our Creator. We have to come into earth school, but we have to walk through a waterfall of forgetfulness, a veil of forgetfulness, because if we remember, we're still going to be influenced by that love.
Right.
And for us to grow, we can't be influenced by that love.
We are not at all the end of the line. We're not even.
No.
We're nowhere to be even close to these. So even if you graduate from this school, which from what I understand from others, this is a tough place to be.
It is. This is one of the tougher schools. In fact, when you look at all the different schools, there's many schools in the universe, and Earth School itself is one of the hardest, but it's also one of the easiest to get the most growth.
So at one point or another, there was a decision made. Can you tell us about that?
So I was just finishing having my kind of heaven experience. I felt like I was now finally worth love, this unconditional love that was just being poured on me this whole time. And I was just glowing in this love that I felt just bright. I felt like light was coming off me now finally. And that's when Drake approached me. He kind of put it on one of my shoulders. He said, "Vinny, this is going to be hard, but it's going to be worth it." And he brought me in for a hug. When you brought us together, our light combined was like 4 or 5 times what our light individually was. And I was just experiencing this very unconditional love that it was healing me and changing me. And I was raised in, I was abused quite a bit as a kid. And I had a lot of black holes still in me. Even in heaven, I was still having this damage that was showing up to me. And every little spot that I had that damage, this love was going in there and saying, "I'm sorry that happened to you. I love you. I wish that didn't happen to you, but see how it helped you grow. See that even your worst things got you to here. And here is beautiful." And as I'm experiencing all of this, then very loudly, I'm hearing my brother from Earth. He starts saying a prayer. I could feel his love for me. I could feel how much he wanted me back to my body. And from that, I looked into Drake's eyes and I felt just the tremendous compassion of eternity there. And instantaneous, I went from seeing Drake to boom, I woke up in a hospital. I was extremely claustrophobic because who we are spiritually is much bigger than these little bodies. And,
sure.
And I felt as if I was an orca or a whale that was just crammed into a little sardine can. And so instantaneously, when I woke up, I pulled everything off of me. And I had tubes coming out of everywhere. I yanked all of them off, everything. I yanked every tube out of my throat, out of my nose, out of my catheters, my IVs. I yanked everything. And then I just stood there naked, just panting, like trying to not explode. I felt like I needed to explode to get this energy out of me of being in such a small body, this physical body here. And then I noticed that all these alarms are going off in my room. So I went around unplugging everything. And I looked around, I realized I was naked. So I had to grab like a couple of gowns I found in the cupboard. I wrapped them around my middle section and I left. And I looked both ways. I could see there was an elevator down one end. And so I started walking. I started walking really fast down towards the elevator, almost like a jog. I got all the way to the elevator when I heard a scream, and I'm like, "Oh crap!" And I looked back, and there was no one there, but I could hear the scream coming from inside my room. So one of the nurses had gone in there, and she screamed because there was no one there, and even all the equipment was unplugged. So her brain must have been just thinking somebody stole this dead body for organs or something.
But what did the doctors say about you being brain dead? Like, I mean,
so I met with 3 neurologists altogether, and One was a psychotherapist as well. He was the nicest one, and he told me, Vinny, what happens is your brain has this blackout, and the palette of the imagination is going to go in and fill in all the gaps. And so he was telling me anything that I perceived while I was gone was just my imagination, to disregard it. And he even said, he's like, don't placate what happened, because if you play into it and you think it's real, you could end up in a mental hospital. He says that he'd watched it many times where people heard voices, they saw things, and they end up in a mental hospital. And I took the path of getting some professional help to see if I needed to get on an anti-schizophrenic or an anti-delusional type medication. I was in the process of doing this, meeting with a doctor, when this older woman shows up to me. She was a spirit, by the way. And she shows up to me and she says, you need to tell this doctor this amount of information. And I'm like, well, he's already telling me I'm delusional, so I'm not going to help him think I'm more delusional. And she wouldn't let it go. She would not let it go. She was like, don't you dare take this prescription he's writing for you until you tell him this information. And so this finally, my brain processed it enough that said, okay, doc, I got to tell you something. This is going to seem crazy, but you already know I'm there. So I have a woman here. She's telling me this. I need to tell you this. He went dead silent for like 90 seconds. Didn't say a word. He pointed his finger at my face and said, get the F out of my office right now.
Wow.
And so I was like, okay. So I left.
Why? Did he find out why?
Well, later I did. So I was driving I was like about a mile down the road, leaving that appointment, when I get a phone call, and it's him. It's on his cell phone even. And he says, Vinny, I don't know what you are or how this even happened, but what you told me, I have never told anyone in my entire life. Not even his own mental health professional knew about what I had stated to him. That even himself, he had forgotten and blocked some of what I had shared with him. And I just told him. I told him exactly what she told me. And he said that, yes, 100% of what I said was real. That he said that because I was able to bring truth out for him, he thinks there's got to be some truth to my experience. But I'll tell you, like, God is here everywhere. Mm-hmm. And angels are real. They're here and everywhere. And spirit is real and here and everywhere. And all of them want to help us, but they can't if we don't ask, if we don't knock. They're going to kick open that door, but we got to knock. We got to knock. And in this life, we stay so distracted, consistently distracted. There's no time for God. There's no time for angels who want to help us. And anybody who's listening to this experience, if you're that person that you want some help, you want some influence of God, you want God in your life, and I don't care what you call God. I really don't. Like, God doesn't care what you call him. And God wants to have a personal relationship with you. So call him what you're comfortable. And if you're an atheist, call God the universe and still be an atheist. But the beautiful thing is the universe or God, whatever you want to call our creator, the creator wants to have that personal relationship with us, every single one of us. And the creator has built this system with so much support from their side of things. But we walk around so distracted, we don't even ask for that support. We don't ever ask for that help. It's there if we want it. You just got to ask.
What is the ultimate purpose of life?
To grow, to come to Earth School, to climb that inner ladder of Jacob's ladder. And how we do it is we climb within, not without. And we're going to find God in the holiest temple on earth, which is right here. That's the holiest temple on earth. And that is where we can find God. We can find God showing up better and bigger there than we can ever find in a temple outside of ourselves. Because the divine, the divinity, it only exists within.